and welcome to episode 2 of Tactics Review. I'm Adam from 4 Hours Later, and today we're going to be looking at the tactic in the National League. If you haven't seen the first episode, go ahead and watch that now. That reviews the tactic in the National League South with Oxford City. You'll see the results in there and what we looked at. What we are going to add today that is extra is we're going to be looking at the player positions and the tactic in a little bit more detail. Time permits that we can't go into great detail on it, else these episodes will be about 4 hours long. But we are going to have a look at that. We're going to set everything running again. We're going to play a couple of games again, and then we're going to sim it till the end of the season. We're going to review all the results and what has happened and really see whether this tactic works. So let's get into it. First of all, this is the tactic. This is ClanBanger22. It's a 4-3-3 asymmetric formation. As you can see, the winger is further up on the right hand side than on the left. And the first thing we're going to do is the mentality is attacking. So for anybody who's trying to set this up without downloading the tactic, which it is in the description for those who want to download it, it's an attacking mentality. So let's have a first look at in possession. So in possession, we want to pass it into space, play out of the defence, low crosses, run at the defence, work ball into the box. It'd be nice to walk the ball into the box, overlap left and overlap right. The attacking width is fairly wide. You can see here, play out of defence, overlap on the right and left, passing into space, slightly more direct passing, higher tempo, never time wasting, work the ball into the box and run at defence is all ticked off in here. In transition, we're looking at throw it long, distribute to fullbacks, counter and counter press. You can see there that they are all selected. And if we look at out of possession, it's a higher line of engagement but a lower defensive line. The defensive width is narrow. We are using tight marking, preventing shorter goalkeeper distribution and getting stuck in. So as you can see, these are the player instructions that is on there. So first we'll start with the left wing back, pass it shorter, cross from the byline, shoot less often, sit narrower, close down more, tackle harder, mark tighter. We have run with ball already active for this role. We then have pass it shorter, and the ones already selected for this role, take more risks and hold position. That's for the ball playing defender. That is the same for both the left and right hand side. That ball playing defender is defensive, the other one too. The left wing back is on auto, the right wing back is on auto. The right wing back pretty much the same as the left wing back, pass it shorter, cross from byline, shoot less often, sit narrower, close down more, tackle harder, mark tighter and run wide with ball. At the back in goal we have a sweeper keeper. Before we forget, the sweeper keeper is on defensive duty, take fewer risks and tackle harder. Then we move into the midfield and we have on the left we have a winger playing attacking. This is the winger that sits a little bit more back on the left hand side. He wants to be passing it shorter, shoot less often, tackle harder, mark tighter, and already with this player's position is to dribble more, run wide with ball, cross more often, cross from the byline and get further forward. We then have a deep lying playmaker on support duty who is to shoot less often, take more risks and hold position. The box-to-box midfielder also playing a supporting role. His only instruction is to roam from his position. The higher up right-sided winger is on support duty and he is set to pass it shorter, cross from the byline, shoot less often, tackle harder, mark tighter, dribble more, run wide with ball, cross more often and stay wider. Up top we have two advanced forwards, both on attacking duty. The first one is to take few risks, get further forward and move into channels. And the second one is slightly different. He is to pass it shorter, take fewer risks, shoot less often, roam from position, tackle harder, mark tighter, get further forward and move into the channels. So that's briefly going over the tactic in possession, in transition and out of position. And it's also going through each position and how they are set. The team fluidity, if you are setting this up manually, should then be on flexible. And that is about as much detail as I can go into that. I hope that answers the couple of questions we have had on it, and that will help those people who aren't able to download it. But as I said, it is available for download. In the description just there, you'll see that Chris has provided that for us, so that anybody that does want to download it and try it can. One thing I would say is, where people see this, it'd be nice for Chris to have some feedback, and I know Chris will look in the comments as people are using it. So if people have used it, whether bad or good, whatever you've done to try it, just leave some comments down. Just let people know that you've used it. Let Chris know, and if you've used it to good effect, just leave a thank you. The other thing is, drop me a like. If you've used this tactic to success, drop me a like, because we've provided the content, you guys like it, and it's just nice for us. It does help with positioning, and the more people that get eyes on this, the more people will try the tactic and the more feedback we get for Chris. So onwards to the game then. As you can see, what we've done, as before when we were Oxford City, responsibilities are all with the staff. They are not with the manager. There is no point doing responsibilities for us when the staff are going to do all of that, because we're not playing the game. We are just testing the tactic. We aren't signing players. We aren't doing absolutely anything. So that's the reason why the responsibilities are not there for us. In the database, when we set it up, again, small database, English leagues, because we are not concerned with what's going off around us. We aren't managing Chorley, the same as we weren't managing Oxford City. And so what we're trying to do is we're just trying to see how the tactic works. Simple, quick, easy to get an episode out and for you guys to see. So that's why the database and the staff responsibilities aren't how you would have it set up, or the leagues for that matter. So that's one of the reasons. All we're going to do on the tactics, we've just been through all this, we're just going to press quick pick. Done. In fact, I'm losing my mind. We don't even need click pick. Let's take that off. Let's get back to this. I'm too used to doing other things. Right, so we start there with a blank canvas. We don't need to do anything, and that is set up so that we can go into home, profile, go on holiday, and what we're going to tick is use current match tactics and return on the 1st of February 2020, and we're going to sim it through. So what's going to happen now, we're going to sim through half the season, 4 months, whatever it is, to the 1st of February. We're going to come back, play 2 games, we're going to see what the tactic plays like, we're going to have our opinion, we're then going to move on out of those games, sim the rest of the season, come back, review the results, and there we go, ready for another episode. So I'll see you in a few seconds. Right, and we're back. It is the 1st of February, and we're going to see what's happened. We can already see that Chorley are 3rd, but does that tell the tale? Let's have a quick look. And so this, let's put best for view on. So this, we can see, started well. The friendlies, absolutely killing it. 6-2, 5-0, 4-2, 1-0, 5-0, 5-1, 6-0, 8-0. It then started with 3 straight victories, a draw against Wrexham, and then beating Maidenhead 2-0. Then a couple of defeats before an unbeaten run, which lasted 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14 games. Highlights of that: 5-4 over Chesterfield, 3-2 over Notts County, through in the FA qualifying round, and then a 4-1 at Sutton and a 5-1 at Boreham as well there. Then played York in the FA Cup first round. We'll see how that gets on, although I think I know the answer. So losing to York City, so out in the FA Cup first round. That the only blip though, because look at that there. Then we run into some indifferent form, where a defeat to Dover, Halifax winning 3-2, a 7-4 victory over Wrexham. That game must have been like ping pong. Notts County, then we lost to, before beating Chesterfield 3-1, a 3-4 against Bromley, drawing against Harrogate, and then 3 out of 4 wins in the league against Torquay, Barnet and Yeovil. What does that do to the table? That means Chorley are 3rd in the table. Now just remember, Chorley were expected to finish rank bottom. Us and Stockport, so I say us, Chorley and Stockport, 1,000 to 1. That's how the media predictions work, that the dream team is expected to the dream team is drawn up through the best players, and the odds are elected by how good those players are for the team, if that makes sense. So Chorley and Stockport were predicted to be filling the bottom 2 spots. Now Chorley have now played 30, won 16, drawn 9, and only 5 defeats. So a lot of the Reds on there looked a lot more than there actually was, because there was only 5. Scoring a massive 64 goals, top scorers in the league, conceded 45. Now this was the worry in the last save. We are conceding where this bottom rung of teams are conceding. So 45, that is that level. The tactic is there to outscore, and there's no pretending that it's a defensive tactic, it's an outscore tactic. There's a goal difference of 19. You can see the top 2 teams that are above us, Aldershot and Barrow, have a 22 goal difference, and that's because they're not conceding. But we're in and around there. We are, or Chorley are, where they should be. Let's have a quick look and see how that does for actual players. And we can see Chris Holroyd is the top scorer for Chorley, 14 goals. His nearest one is Ben House from Chesterfield on 12. We have average ratings. Chris Holroyd is in there with 7.24, and Adam Blakeman has got 10 assists there. And we've also got Andy Teague on 10 yellow cards. If we look at the squad by goals, you'll see just behind him Louis Dodds on 13, Natumbo Masanka on 10. We have Lewis Almond on 9, Norte on 8, Newby on 6, 5 the rest, and then down to 1 there. Assists, we have 12 for Adam Blakeman. Naughty Norte, love that name, is on 11. 7 for Tyler Hamilton, 6 for Scott Leather and Louis Dodds, and then Holdroyd 5, and 4 the rest, 3 down to Agbozo. And so you can see the goals are spreading around. Now the one thing I have noticed, and we've got to remember this isn't the end of the season, when we looked at average ratings for Oxford City in the league below, their ratings were much higher than this. Now Chorley will be a little bit above what Oxford City are, but they were expected to go down, so they won't be too much better. And so is this that the players are not as good for the league, thus the tactic suffers a little bit? Or is this that the tactic is suffering because the tactic isn't for this division? Now I have a feeling it's the former rather than the latter, just from screenshots that I've seen. So it will be interesting to see where we go with this tactic for the rest of the game. We are going to play 2 games now. We do have a rest of the season to play and to see how those average ratings go up. But at the end of the day, we've the tactic has took a team that was predicted to finish bottom of the table, and it's now taken them into the promotion hunt, which can't be bad at all. It does look, I mean, let's have a quick look again. 3 points is only the difference. There's really nothing in it. If I'd have come back 2 games later and Chorley had won both them games and been top, everybody would be saying, wow, you're taking Chorley up with that tactic. So what we're going to do now is we're going to play a couple of games. Let's have a quick look here. We're going to play today against Maidenhead. That is away. And then in a week's time, we play Wrexham at home. Let's have a look where those 2 teams are. So Maidenhead we will be playing near the bottom, and Wrexham are the opposite at the top. That's a good test for the tactic. So let's get underway. Let's get this tactic tested in a live game. And we're going to do exactly the same thing as what we did with Oxford City. Quick pick, use the 3 subs on around about the 60th minute, just as we're replicating. We just want to see, there we go, and we just want to see what happens. So we know the tactic, we now know the team, and I may need to change my settings. We're going to have a look at that in a second. That's already done for us. We just get straight in. Let me just have a quick look here. Slightly faster. There we go. Let's get this underway and see what the tactic says for Chorley. So Chorley versus Maidenhead. We are 12 or so minutes in, and like the last one, I don't think we've had good games to put on to the channel on the live bits, just so people can see. I mean, now we're starting to create chances. I can see 3 shots, 2 on target. Less possession than in the league below, and I've got to say, I'm not sure. Is it the players? Is it the management? We won't know that, not without going into detail. But if you were managing this team and you had the opportunity to use this tactic, and the players that you would bring in and the influence you would give, would that then make Chorley a better team? Would it make whoever you took over a better team? That's why it'd be nice to get the feedback into those comments and seeing what people think. We've got Burke now, who does some kind of trick and then loses it to Naughty, but Naughty loses it to Mensah, and then we've got Charles, who then boots it long downfield but finds Burke, and they're in and they score. It is 1-0 to Maidenhead, approaching half-time. Maidenhead near the bottom, and Chorley are in a little bit of form. So that is a little disappointing, but we remember that this tactic is an attacking tactic, and you may concede the goals. That's just how it plays, because it takes the risks. But Ryan Burke has scored for Maidenhead. It's 1-0. We approach half-time. Everything's already done for us, and we can get on with this second half. So we're in the second half, and it's Massey to Eliu. Massey passes it back, and it's Ashby Hammond, at the Fulham keeper. They got him on loan. Kicks that out. No idea why that's been kicked out like that. It's probably why he's on loan down at this level. But we've got Challoner now. Newby back to Challoner. Challoner plays it into Naughty. Naughty to O'Keefe. O'Keefe plays it, and that highlight comes to nothing. And Chorley have had 3 shots and 2 on target. Now that was the same, and we haven't penetrated since. And so, right, something I didn't want to do. We have got to change this tactic. This is what I didn't want to happen. This is what I didn't want to happen, because what happens now is we're not going to get a vision of what the tactic will be like playing in the game, because we've changed it. We there's not much else to do. In 4 minutes we're going to make some other substitutions anyway, so let's get in fact, let's get him there. A little playing around with the tactic. Not sure. And he's put a lot of attackers on the bench. If you manage Chorley, get another assistant manager. His quick picks are shocking. Anyway, that changes the complexion slightly. Blakeman now with a throw in Baines. Blakeman over the top. It finds Newby, and they've scored. And I can't really even count this because I've changed the tactic a little bit. I suppose it gives you an idea, if you do get a sending off, that you can still score goals with it. But Newby scored. Blakeman over the top, finds Newby in the bottom corner, and that is 1-1. And that's the first shot, I think, since the first 20-25 minutes. So it's took a good 50 minutes to get that shot away. They've had a lot of shots, and that's a little bit of a concern. O'Keefe now over the top. It's away by Eliu. He's got no support. Normally 2 forwards up there. They've easily got that and played it away. And now it's Fenelon, Cassidy, Charles out to Mensah. Leather gets there. I've got to say, I think that was a fair challenge, and I'm not sure what's happened there, but it's a penalty. And it's Burke who could score. I think it's his second. And so Maidenhead 2-1 up. And although where I couldn't count the first goal that Chorley scored, what I've done to the tactic has probably butchered it and ruined this game. It's a good job we've got another game. It's a shame it's against Wrexham. But now another corner, and it could have been 3-1. It is 2-1, and that has switched a lot. It could be to do with the sending off, but I think their shots were quite high and possession was creeping up anyway. So that's that game out of the way. That's all done. You don't need to see anything else. Let's get on to the second game. So we're now into this Wrexham game. Nothing has changed. We haven't done anything. All we're going to do is quick pick again. That knocks Challoner out. See, they're all fit. We're going to play this game. No changes. This is all done for us. Straight into the game, and let's hope to see the tactic perform today, because that's what we want to see. With all 11 players on the pitch, it's Redmond and Lewis Potter now who shoots, and that's a goal, but it's disallowed. Adam Barton had scored, but it's disallowed for offside. We don't need to see that again. We could see that. So back underway with the game. A lot of possession early on for Wrexham. Chorley not much, and only one shot that was off target. See, there's a shout for calm down, because it's our assistant who's doing all the shouting. 3 shots, 1 on target. It's not really been great so far, just to see how it performs. And it's Teague now. Comes to nothing. Buxton, Redmond, Barton. And at the moment, I'm not that impressed. We're not doing anything. It literally is still part of the sim, really. We're not doing the shouts. We're not doing the team talks. We've let the assistant do the quick picking, and we're not seeing too much. Is this where it? I thought that was going to change it then. It's Masank, but this tactic, the sole purpose is it outscores other teams. It's like Kevin Keegan's management style on steroids. We're not seeing, or are we seeing? And it's failing. That's 2 games. I mean, we can see we've got the game. We've seen the games. 7-4s, 4-1s, 5-1s. When it works, it works. I'm wondering when it goes wrong, it goes wrong. But you got to remember, we can add. You managing the team would have probably made more signings than what Chorley have. We're not going to change anything. We can't. You would have made signings for specific areas which may have been better than what's here already. And so it may perform better. But it does give an indication in the National League with the bottom side, if you did nothing, what would happen. And we are going to simulate what the assistant would do. We did this. Right. Almond wants to be there. Louis Dodds wants to be there. And Mark Ross wants to be there. So that's the 3 changes done. So that's done. We can see it looks by the ratings that we are playing a little bit better than Wrexham. It's just disappointing we're not seeing more highlights to show us. Working or not, we're not really seeing much. It's a bit of nothing. Ross. And that's a little bit lucky for Holroyd. This is the guy who was the top scorer, and I thought that was going in then. That's the guy who's been scoring all the goals. before we came back to the episode and broke it. Dodds over there remains 0-0. Been nice for 15 minutes. You can see the shots now starting to come. 13 shots, 7 on target. Possession's a little bit of a worry in comparison to what it was last season when we did this with Oxford City. But they do seem to be playing better this second half. So some of it may be down to the assistant manager and what he's telling him. Almond tries to take a shot, comes in. Holroyd gets it back now. Some strange passing was going on there, as though we passed it away from a goal. Or they passed it away from a goal. So too used to doing the series. And that comes to nothing. We've got a throw in now. It's Ross into the box. Lantern picks it up, and this looks disappointing for these two games. Or is it disappointing? Have you seen enough of the tactic and the results to say yay or nay? Would it be better if we had a picked? There's a goal there. So 2 defeats. The tactics had 2 defeats and scored just 1 goal for an attacking tactic. Would it have been better if it would have been a Notts County, a top team in this league, and see where it took us with the tactic? Would that have created a more convincing results at the end of it? That's the end of it. I mean, look at the stats. 15 shots, 7 on target, 44%. Be interesting if I have a look in a quick second. They've made some transfers. Let's have a look what the assistant's done. There's some transfers in there. They're what they signed, aren't they? Bozo and stuff. So it'd be interesting. Have they improved the team? Is it still the bottom team rated? I mean, it is. It is still the bottom team in the division. Ranking those players that's in the squad, Chorley is 500 to 1. That means pound for pound, Chorley's players aren't rated as good as, say, Fylde or Notts County. In fact, all but Stockport. And if you look at the Gulf, you'd probably say that by some way. So we look at that. I mean, out of interest, Chris Holroyd is what's he performing at? Leading player for the division below. That's the class of player we've got. So if you look at it in that context, Chorley in 5th after we've broken the tactic doesn't look too bad when you consider that. So what we're going to do now is we are going to go on holiday. We're going to let it sim all those last few games to Boreham Wood, come back on the 26th of April, and then we're going to go through all these results, see where they are. We are at the probably just over halfway, so this will tell us where Chorley finish up in that. Are they still in any cups? Did I see they're still in cups? No, they're out, so they can just concentrate on the league. There's no hangover from being knocked out of cups and stuff. We're going to let it play. Let's go in there and clear that quick pick. So it's all set up. It's all ready to go. And I shall see you in a few seconds. Let us put that to April the 26th. Set it going. I'll see you. Okay, so we are back. And this is the end of the season, and I have to inform you, Chorley did not get promotion. Now we are going to look at the schedule first before we go to that. And so we last left after the Wrexham game, and things look to have started well after that, with a 2-0 victory over Barrow and a 3-2 victory over Dover. But we then Chorley failed to outscore their opponents. And while they did continue to score, they didn't score the amount of goals needed to beat them. And it took a long time after that to get those wins registered, which looked to have come too late, and they were against Aldershot and Halifax. They then lost on the final day to Boreham Wood, and then we've let it go a little bit further because we needed to see how they did against Sutton in the playoffs. So what that means for the National League, if we look at the big table, Adam, get your buttons working. If we look at the big table, there we go. Chorley finished 5th. Now take this as a little disclaimer. Chorley were expected to finish here. And look at the other team that was expected to finish here. That was Stockport, who did finish here. And so if you take that in the context and what has been achieved, the tactic has probably done what it's supposed to have done, because it's made Chorley play above where they were supposed to finish. So now that's out of the way, Chorley managed 20 victories, 15 draws, 11 defeats, 86 scored, the top scorers in the division. I think the nearest to them were the champions Chesterfield with 77, but we conceded 68 goals. That is relegation form goals, and that is the problem. An 18 goal difference and 75 points. What does make you wonder a little bit is if out of those bad run of form that Chorley went on, just a couple of victories would have put them either in this top 2 playoff spots here, meaning they didn't have to play Sutton, or it would have meant that, 3 or 4. So you can see where the balance is. They were there or thereabouts, despite their poor run of form towards the end. And I think we were on 7 defeats by the time we'd finished the last bit of this. And so only 4 more defeats. So in the context, not so bad. It hasn't proved as fruitful as it was in the division below. But let's remember the division below. We were Oxford City. And Oxford City made it up through the playoffs, so they had a bit of luck and went up that way. Interestingly, where have Oxford come in the south? And there we go, there's a little bit more evidence-based where Oxford finished stone cold bottom. The tactic got them promoted, so you can see the differences in what that tactic has done. Let's get back to the national and let's have a look. So, top 2 scorers in the division, Natumba Masanka and Chris Holroyd. I think Holroyd was on 16 when we were last here. Something about him. I mean, he's only scored 2 more goals since we left, so there seems to have been some change. How many games did he play? 38, 44. 44 games. Masanka around about the same, so yeah, we have the top assister there in Adam Blakeman, who was up there before. We don't have those average ratings, which probably gives a little bit of a clue about the tactic and the players that we used. We do have a yellow card tallyist in Andy Teague. So let's have a look at this squad, and let's have a look at goals. We've got Natumbo Masanka with 18 goals, 6 assists. We have Chris Holroyd with 18 goals and 5 assists. Louis Dodds with 15 goals and 7 assists. And we have Alex Newby on 12 goals and 3 assists. Then following that, Louis Almond on 9 goals and 4 assists. Naughty, good name. 8 goals, 12 assists. Tyler Hammer, you can see a lot of goals and a lot of assists through the team. What the tactic does is you get a lot of goals from everywhere and a lot of assists from everywhere. A real team scoring and assisting tactic. We then have average ratings. You can see again only 2 in those above 7s, what you class as good for the season, and that's Holroyd and Masanka, and that is another clue. So I'm of the opinion, although we weren't impressed with those 2 games that we saw, and the fixtures went a little bit haywire, probably too many draws more than anything. But the good early form that we saw petered out a lot here, and I have a feeling that it's rather the players than the actual tactic that has suffered here. I'm I'm pretty convinced that it's done its job. Chorley should have finished here, 24th, and they finished 5th. If you were managing them, or I were managing them, and we had the change in personnel that we like, the staff change in personnel, you were giving the team talks, the shouts, if you were having your influence on Chorley, that could be a valuable extra 9-10 points, and that's the sort of thing that will get you promoted. So in the context of things and what we've seen, I'm pretty convinced that the tactic works, but it just needs the influence of the manager on top of that. What we're going to do now, that's episode 2 over. Episode 3 will be in League 2, and what's different in League 2, I'm pretty sure, yeah, so in League 2 it's professional. The standard of player is higher. The team that will have the tactic will be far better, and we may get improved results based on that. I'm Adam, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode.
We are heroes tonight. We will fly above the sky.